Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Creepshow 3. So, I feel like a lot of people don't even know there's a third Creepshow movie, and if people do know about this movie, uh, a lot of people do not like it. They kind of dismiss this. It's generally not liked. My experience with it was, you know, I actually had a decent time. I enjoyed myself with this. It wasn't, you know, the best anthology I've ever seen. It definitely didn't stack up to the first two movies, but I had a decent time with this. I didn't love it. I don't know if I would rewatch this a lot, if I would even really watch it again, but yeah, overall I had a decent time with this. I enjoyed it. So, there's that. And just some info about the movie. Uh, None of the people from the original, like the first two films, were involved. Stephen King was not involved. George Romero was not involved, and Tom Savini had nothing to do with this movie. And the first two movies had theatrical releases. This just came out direct to DVD, like quite a few years after the second film. I think the second film came out in like 1987. I just did a review on it, so I should know this. But this came out in like 2006, so the name was probably up for sale where someone could get the rights to it, and they're like, hey, let's cash in, put out a little direct to DVD sequel. Maybe we'll make a little profit. But yeah, that's some general info about the movie. Since a lot of the same people were not involved, it did have a different feel than the first two, but it still followed, you know, pretty similar format. I mean, it's still an anthology, still a horror film, so it still, for the most part, still felt like a Creepshow movie, but it didn't have all like the comic book elements like the 50s horror comics, and it didn't have the creep or the creeper or whatever from the second movie, but it still felt like a Creepshow movie in my opinion. So yeah, it's an anthology. There were 5 segments in this, and in the previous movie, in part 2, there was only 3, so this had 5. I think there was like 5 in the first one, something like that, but yeah, you had 5 segments, and the way the story went, it was kind of non-linear. It would be like, there like events from it would be like it would flash back to events that happened earlier, and everything was kind of like interconnected. Like all the characters, not all the characters, but a lot of characters from different segments had different relationships with the other characters and interacted with the other characters. So that was kind of cool. I kind of liked how it was all interconnected and all tied together, and yeah, it was pretty cool. And it all kind of took place in the same general area. Most of the people all lived in this little suburb, but they all lived in the same city at least. So it was pretty cool. So getting into the segments, I'm just gonna go over the names of all the segments. So this is the segments in order. You got Alice, the radio, call girl, the professor's wife, and haunted dog. Out of the 5 segments, I liked 3 of them. The first 2 I really liked, which were Alice and the radio, and the other segment that I liked is the professor's wife. Call girl and haunted dog, I didn't really like that much. Haunted dog I really didn't like. It was just so drawn out and nothing really happened, and yeah, the climax to that was pretty lame in my opinion. But yeah, for 3 out of 5, it's not bad. So I'm just gonna give you all like a real quick summary of all the segments, like a quick like one sentence summary, just so you get the idea. So the first segment, it's about this remote control that's altering reality. The second segment is about this radio that's telling this guy what to do, and at first it's improving his life, but then it's telling him to, you know, steal money and kill people. Call girl, you got this call girl, she's murdering people. She gets this one guy's house, and there's, you know, some twists and turns. The professor's wife, you got the professor, he's getting married. Everyone's like, what the heck, how is this guy getting married? He's always doing his work and all these giant studies, what the heck. So he has these former students over, and they think this is just another one of his pranks, and they think his wife is actually a robot, so they try to, you know, get to the bottom of that. And then Haunted Dog there's this doctor, and he's just a total a-hole, and he gives this homeless guy a hot dog, and the guy chokes on it, and then he becomes a ghost and haunts him. So that's the basic summary of all the little segments. But yeah, the first two I really liked. The stories were just entertaining. There was a lot of twists and turns, and I don't know, the first two really kept my attention. The professor's wife didn't have as much story going on as the first two, but it had some good comedy. I like the turn of events, how that turned out, and just getting into the comedy. There was a lot of really good comedy in this movie. So in the first segment, there's this girl Alice, and she's hanging with her family, and her grandma is absolutely hilarious. She's like, you got no ass. You're never gonna get a man. You're never gonna get married. She's like, you know, guys like a nice ass. And then she's talking about, you know, in my opinion, ass is way more important than tits. I mean, tits, anyone can have tits, but you gotta have a great ass. This is the grandma saying this. Is that not the coolest grandma ever? And I mean, she was saying ass is better than tits. When I was watching that, I was thinking, like, I still can't call it. That's such a hard decision. I mean, why not both? Like, why do I have to pick which one's better? I don't know. They're both amazing. So I don't know. One day I'll get to the bottom of that, and I'll choose, and I'll film a video of you know, I'll like do a deep dive. What's the better body part, tits or ass? You know, the definitive answer. But yeah, that was super funny. What else? The professor. So, you know, like I said, these former students of the professor, they think, oh, this is another one of the professor's pranks. His wife is a robot. And then it flashes back to all of his previous pranks. He has exploding egg sandwiches. They didn't even call them egg salad, I don't think. They just called them egg sandwiches. But yeah, he had like exploding egg sandwiches. And then he's like a mad scientist, and he does all this robotic stuff. So he had this remote control, and he was remote controlling one of his students' actual cars. And he makes him like crash. I don't know you don't get to see like what happens then, but that's harsh, man. That's kind of dark. I mean, if you can make him swerve a little bit, that's fine. Maybe that was his intention at first, and then they just crashed. But man, that's some crazy stuff. But that was pretty funny. And then it like flashes back to him talking about if I could make a perfect woman, if I could make a robot woman, she would have an on and off switch and a volume control. And it's him talking in front of his class, and all the women in the class are like, that's so messed up, you're disrespecting women and stuff, which I think was funny. And like today, like if you said that in a classroom today, man, people would lose it. I'm not saying that it's like right or wrong what he's saying. I'm like, you know, I'm just being neutral. I'm just saying it was funny, like the reaction where they're like, because I feel like, I mean, people would react like that regardless, but in the college setting, you know, like, because, you know, a lot of college students, they're really into social problems and all that, and, you know, feminism and stuff. So I think it was funny how you got to hear their reactions where they're like, "What the heck are you talking about? Women like that, professor? You're crazy." Talking about if they had an on and off switch. It's like, man, what you got to get with this feminism, professor. You mad crazy talking about all this on and off switch. So I just like, cause I'm in college and you know people are like really into, like, some people are really into all the social issues and stuff. I'm not. I don't really get political. I just stay out the way. I just write my papers. So, you know, not that I'm not like down with causes. I'm down with causes, but I'm not like outspoken with. I stay out the way, man. I'm not into all that stuff. You know, I'm just like a chill individual. But anyways, I like the reaction. All these like girls in the classroom just losing their stuff, because man, nowadays it would be way worse. They'd be that teacher would get fired. They'd be losing it. They'd be screaming at the teacher, man. I've witnessed that, kids just like screaming over some stuff, over like some social stuff. Like they get passionate with it, man. It's crazy. And then another funny aspect was this doctor. He was just a total a-hole, and he's just writing prescriptions for everyone. He's like, prescription medical marijuana, here's his prescription. And he's just such an a-hole, like that. He's such an a-hole that it's funny. Like, he's, you know, like a girl has something wrong with her wrist. She's like, my wrist hurts. He's like, I'm gonna need you to take off all your clothes, and you know, yeah, you might as well spread over this table. So the doctor was funny, but yeah, this movie had some great comedy. But moving on, you know, I feel like I'm just talking about random stuff in the movie, but that's kind of the style of my videos. So this is just something I was thinking about, and I have to point out. So in the second segment, there's this pimp. He's not really like a main character, but the main character in that stole the pimp's money, and he had $500K from some heist. And this pimp, I guess he was just sitting on this $500K. He had it in the worst hiding spot. Like, why wouldn't he just keep it in his apartment? He puts it in this, like, there's like this tall building, and he puts it kind of like in the attic where anyone can just grab it. He puts it in like a little box. Stupid. Put it in, put it in your apartment. Put it somewhere. I don't know what the reasoning behind that is, but my dude, if you have 500K, why are you still pimping? Like, retire. And that's what I was thinking. Like, maybe he just loves pimping. He's got like a love for the game. He's one of those guys. He just loves his job. He's like, man, even if I had 80 mil, even if I had 300 mil, I'd still be pimping. I just love pimping. I'm not into pimping for the money. I'm into pimping for the lifestyle. I'm into pimping for the community. So, I thought that was crazy. Like, this fool has 500K the whole time, and he's just still pimping. Like, how much does he really make off that? I mean, he had like, I don't know, 5 girls, so maybe he's making decent money, but I mean, he's not balling like that. You got 500K, go retire. I mean, you can't retire with that nowadays, but I mean, go flip it. You do something. Don't just stay in this crusty, decrepit apartment. Like, that apartment was crusty, dude. Like, I was just like, how this guy had money the whole time? He's living like this? Like, why you gotta stress? He's stressing himself out. He's gotta deal with these girls. He's gotta do all this and that. try to get money from people. He's probably got to beat people up. You don't got to do all that, man. Just go invest it. Go, you know, buy some real estate. You can just buy it cash, whatever. But yeah, I was just thinking that the whole movie, like, why is this guy still pimping? He's got all this money. I don't know. I still don't know. Getting into the effects, the effects, they were decent. You know, all the practical stuff I thought was pretty good, but there was some CGI in this, and I'm not a hater of CGI, you know, entirely. Sometimes CGI is okay, sometimes you need to use some CGI, but the CGI in this, I feel like they didn't really need to use it. They could have, because they had practical effects for most of the other stuff, so and that looked good. But then the instances when they used CGI, it looked terrible, dude. Like, it was some of the worst CGI I've seen, and I've seen some bad CGI. Like, this CGI was bad, dude. Like, maybe they ran out of money. Because you know, the practical effects cost money too. Maybe they ran out of money. That takes more time. Maybe they ran out of time. But like, the practical effects were good, like really good. Like, why didn't they just do that the whole time? Some of the CGI stuff, it just took you out of it. It's like, what the heck am I watching? Like, what is this, man? Like, because you know, you couldn't really tell the budget. It didn't seem that much lower budget than the other ones. But when that CGI came on screen, you're like, man, what is this? Some dollar store stuff? Like, what the heck is this, man? Not cool. And then the previous movie, Creepshow 2, there was like animated wraparound segments. This had that as well, but it was only in the beginning and the end. And I don't know, the animation in this, it didn't do it for me. The style of it, like what was actually, like the content of it, what was actually going on, I wasn't into it. They could have took that out, because it's like, you're trying to be like Creepshow 2, but it's like not as good, so like, why even do the animation? You don't even need to do it. Like, the animation in this, it was, I don't know, it didn't really serve any purpose. It didn't really go anywhere. It had nothing to do with, you know, anything that was in the movie, really. So yeah, the little animated wraparound segments, I could live without it. Take it, get it out of here. I don't need it. I'll do without it. So yeah, just the animation, lame. And then this is the last thing I wrote down, but so the professor in one part of the movie, he talks about, he's trying to get a voodoo doll. He buys a voodoo doll of this homeless guy, and you know, I was expecting him to get revenge on these people, because they're, you know, this late into the review, I'm gonna go into spoiler territory. Just a warning here, but I'm going into spoiler territory. So in the segment called the professor's wife, you know, these guys, they think the professor's wife is a robot, and so they like drill her up and they cut her up, and plot twist, she's not a robot. She's just weird. And they murder her. So yeah, I'm thinking he's gonna get the voodoo doll, and there's gonna be another segment where he gets revenge on these guys with the voodoo doll. That would have been cool, but the voodoo doll stuff is never mentioned again, and the movie just like ends abruptly. The ending was cool with like his marrying his wife. He pieced her back together somehow, even though she was cut to like a trillion pieces. But that was cool, and like her arms flying. So yeah, I wish they did something with the voodoo segment. That would have been cool, way cooler than the haunted dog segment, because it was just, okay, this a-hole doctor, like the stuff with him was cool, but it was just, he was getting pursued by this ghost that, you know, of like the homeless guy that he accidentally killed with the hot dog, and he would just like try to give him the hot dog. And I'm getting into more spoilers here, but the guy just dies of, like, you see the homeless guy, the homeless ghost guy a couple times. He's like sporadically throughout the segment. He's not even in it that much. Most of it is just like the doctor being an a-hole and taking patients, which is cool, but it's like, okay, like what the heck is happening here? But anyways, you don't see the homeless ghost guy that much, and then the conclusion to that segment is like the doctor, he just dies of fear, and then it's over. Like, why didn't they do a voodoo segment instead of that? That segment was lame. The voodoo segment would have been a great last segment. The hot dog ghost segment, like, come on, man, get the f out of here with that. That junk was lame. Except the a-hole doctor was entertaining, but this is a horror film. Like, there wasn't. It was just this guy talking the whole time. Come on. But yeah, I wish they did something with the voodoo doll. That would have been cool. But anyways, that's all I got on my notes. That's all I got to say about this movie. So yeah, let me get into my recommendation. Would I recommend this? I don't know if I would recommend it, because even though, like I said, I enjoyed it for the most part. Like, I mean, I mentioned some problems. It wasn't perfect, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a decent anthology, but I don't know if I'd really recommend this. I would just, like I said, I don't think I'm going to really rewatch this. It didn't knock my socks off, It wasn't one of the greatest anthologies I've ever seen. And the horror elements weren't that crazy. Like, it doesn't really give you that horror vibe. I don't know. So, even though I enjoyed this personally, I wouldn't recommend it. I would just say probably stick with Creepshow 1 and 2, and you'll be all good. But now that I gave you all my recommendation, I'm gonna head on out. So thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.